Hello, thank you so much for joining me. So this is a first. We have not one, but two amazing people. Well, actually, no, that's not right. We've got two amazing people and a beautiful dog joining us for this YouTube interview. This is Mimi, but we also have the beautiful Mars and the amazing Jack Byram, who most of you will know because they have been starring in Unbreakable Guard on Salty TV, which I gave 5 stars to and is one of my favourite verticals this year so far. So I'm going to ask Mars and Jack to tell you a bit more about themselves.
Go ahead.
All right. My name is Mars. I'm born and raised in New York City. I've been acting like half my life now. This was my first vertical film, and I think a great start to the vertical world, honestly.
Yeah, my name's Jack Byram. I'm also from the East Coast. I'm from New Jersey. And I've been acting about 6 years now, I'd say. I got my start in stand-up comedy, fell in love with acting along the way, and so most of my time is dedicated to acting. And yeah, this was also my first vertical, and what a vertical it was to start.
So Mars, can I start with you?
Sure.
When did you first learn about the vertical format, and how did it come about that you ended up playing Harper Rose?
So, Unbreakable Guard was presented to me by the casting director. It's someone I'd worked with before. She said, "Hey, I have this part. I think you'd be really good to read for it." So I didn't even quite know it was a vertical at the time. It was presented to me more as like a feature film. So I'm like, okay, sounds great. And then like somewhere through the auditioning process, I was told it was a vertical. So I'm like, okay, I don't really know what that is, but I think I may have even auditioned for a few, like through my agent. So I had a little bit of an idea what it is actually, but I had never done one. I had never really watched a whole one. And it was just something new and something exciting to learn about. So yeah, it was fun.
What about you, Jack? What was your...
Well, I only learned about verticals, I think, in November. I was in Los Angeles, and a friend of mine I knew from acting school was out there, and we got lunch together. And I pretty much said to her, I was like, according to Instagram, you're working like every single week. What is going on? How are you booking all this work? And she said, oh, I've been doing vertical movies. And I was like, I have no idea what that is. And she explained them to me, and I was like, okay. And then immediately I just started applying to them. I I think when I saw vertical, because they're listed on the websites that you audition on as, vertical short film, I had no context at all for what that was. So I just didn't give it any mind. But then I started seeing just how many listings there were and how much shooting was going on. So I started submitting. And when I submitted for Unbreakable Guard, it was, I think, right around the new year. And I don't know, obviously every project you see you want to get, but I just had this feeling like I was like, I'm going to make sure I get this. I don't know how I'm going to do it, but I'm going to make sure I get cast in it. I just thought it was going to be a lot of fun, and I wanted to start the new year off. And luckily, I did.
So, obviously one of the key bits of Unbreakable Guard is that it's all about the relationship between your two characters. So at what stage do you then, in the casting process, encounter each other, and do the team make sure that it's working between you two?
So we had a chemistry read for exactly that reason. It was also sort of like a callback because there were 2 other actors still being considered at the time. So we read with each of the actors and they sort of just decided, who's the best fit with each other.
Yeah, without speaking too much about the other actors, they were great. But it was funny because I felt like Mars and I were closer in age and they were closer in age. And so, I think subconsciously on some level, I kind of felt like, even though I auditioned with the other woman and she was great, I sort of felt like it was me and her versus the other 2 in my mind. And so it was funny. We ended up kind of just speaking a little bit while we were waiting to go into the casting. And I sort of felt like this connection to her. I was like, oh, I hope I get to work with her.
Awesome. Right. So you get cast. I want to talk firstly to you, Mars, if that's all right, about
Yes.
Harper Rose. One of the things I loved about the character is that she's strong. So, for instance, in the early scenes when there's the first attempt on her life in the dressing room, you get that bottle and you smash him back. I really like that, and you run away. I also really like as well that even at the end, when it's all kicking off at the end, and we've sort of got the big reveal of the villain, again, you're not just running and hiding. You're trying to do stuff. So was that one of the things that appealed to you, that it was a stronger character?
Oh yes. I've also always just wanted to play a pop star or a musician. I thought that would be really fun. But she was definitely a strong, bold character, just as who she was as a person. And it was a lot of fun to get into that role. You know, have a lot of action scenes. That was really fun. We did a few stunt rehearsals for that. And yeah, it was a lot of firsts for me, honestly.
So talking about the music, are you musical at all yourself? Because there's a moment where Harper Rose has got a guitar. I just kind of need to know if there's a musical background there.
There's a very little musical background there. I
Yeah.
would have loved to have done an original Harper Rose song on set, but maybe for the next film.
Do you know what they use? Because they play a song when you've got that scene in the kitchen that kind of Harper
Yeah.
Rose turns off, and then it turns out that he's listened and he likes it. Do you know what that is that they used?
Someone had found the name of it, but I think it was just like a free song on Artlist, like the website the editor had used.
Yeah. And do you have kind of a vibe in your head of like what sort of music Harper Rose would have made?
I was listening to a lot of Ariana Grande to prepare for the role, honestly. I told him that when we were on set because she was someone I sort of used as a reference because she has been through so much as a person, much like Harper Rose, but she still always comes out with this incredible music and keeps this really soft and beautiful energy about her.
Yeah, that was the vibe I got as well. I was thinking
Oh,
Ariana Grande. If I was trying to
oh
put
my
it
God.
somewhere, I like went there. I also want to ask you as well about the outfits, because obviously getting to play a pop star, you get some amazing
Yes.
outfits. Did you have a favourite, and did you get any input in the styling?
So, okay, I probably have two favorites. We had an amazing stylist, Lauren, and styling assistant, Sophie. They were both incredible. There was this one dress that they had used on the last film they did together called Pregnant by the Boss. And it was a maternity dress. And then Lauren and Sophie somehow created it on my body to be the short, cute dress you see in the dinner scene. It started out as this long sleeved, really wide sort of maternity dress, and they made it into this just cute little mini dress, and it was incredible. I couldn't believe it. And also, of course, the pop star look in the first episode where I'm getting off stage. That was a really fun one as well.
That is phenomenal, that one, when you've got all the eye makeup on. It's just you look
Yes, yeah.
amazing. And I think that was one of the things that really caught my eye at the beginning, because it felt like a massive step up of like, that actually looks like you're coming off stage, rather than, okay, that's clearly been filmed in a cupboard out back. It was just, that was
Yes,
phenomenal.
yes. That's thanks to our wonderful stylist and our makeup artist Claire. They did so much great work on this show.
So, Jack, I want to ask you some questions now. Talking about style, that brown leather jacket was something.
That actually belonged to the editor, James Barker. Yeah, James Barker. His company is, I forget, what is it? Edits. I'm embarrassed. Is it? I will send you the link because they are awesome work, and James was actively editing on set, so I got to meet him and talk to him, and he would literally we would shoot a scene, they would bring the footage, dump it onto his computer, and he would be editing while we were shooting other scenes. But anyway, it was his leather jacket, and it was his father's leather jacket, I think. So yeah, it was older, and I think the inside might be falling apart, and James is gonna get it like redone, which he should, because it is sweet, isn't it?
It's really good.
Yeah.
And I think that's got to be one of the best character entries, because obviously you've got the two photographers outside Harper Rose's house, and then you turn up, and then it's kind of Jax is, just chatting, and then there's this brilliant moment where you just punch him, which is just funny.
Yeah.
First of all, did you do that punch? Please tell me that's your wrist.
That's my wrist. Yeah,
Excellent.
we had a stunt coordinator there, and the actor Sean, Sean Gray, I think is his name, is building up a reel of all the times he gets punched in the face in the Salty universe. He's been in other movies, so he's accumulating a lot of footage of himself getting slapped and punched. So be on the lookout for that.
And then I think the great contrast is kind of you start with that action moment, and then you come in and the character Jax is all, he's all business, and then obviously Harper Rose calls him out, which is, can I just say, that's a brilliant moment in the script. I love that moment where she's like, "Did you ask the politicians this?" Just that was awesome. Whoever wrote that, well done. And then you have some great moments with your facial expressions. There's that moment where you go, "This isn't going well," which is hysterical.
Yeah, that was in our callback. We did that scene together.
Yeah.
So that was one of the scenes we had a chance to do a lot. And that one felt really natural I can't speak for Mars. I'm sure it felt natural for her. Everything comes natural to her. But that was just kind of trying to find the balance of like, Jax is a professional and he's wants to be perceived as a professional, but I think he's got this underlying element of charm to him where he's a little bit flirty, but he's sort of like fighting those two things at the same time. So I think that line of, this isn't going well as it is, trying to endear myself to her, and she doesn't give me an inch, which was really fun. She's like, it's not going well. And so that was a really fun scene to do because Mars gave me a ton to work with there.
And then obviously there's the scene as well where obviously the swimming pool, and you managed to do the cartoon Eyes on Stalks, which is very good.
Yeah.
Well done on that.
Yeah, I know like my face is very expressive from here with my eyebrows and my eyes, and I don't realize people will say things like that to me, and I'm like, oh, I'm not doing it. That's just how I look. So, people will be like, oh, that was like so expressive, and I'm like, oh yeah, sure, I did that on purpose. Yeah. That's just kind of how I walk through the world. But our director, Nancy Pop, she was just like, you gotta, you want to sell it in this moment, and really make it obvious that you're caught. And that's the fun thing about vertical acting is you kind of can go a little bit above and beyond. Like maybe in a horizontal movie, I'd have to dial that back and be subtle. But it's like you can really have these fun soap opera-y over the top moments. And so that was a chance for me to just kind of, I did ham it up a little bit with the startled, but yeah.
It's very good. And then again, also because Harper Rose calls on a hit, which is hilarious as well. So the whole payoff afterwards. And then I think that's why it works so well, because then you go to this like fantastic montage of actually Jack's at work, and you can see that they're building up. Okay, he is good at his job. He is looking after Harper Rose. And then we have what I think is one of the best scenes, which is where there's like the second attempt on your life, and you end up where Jax gets Harper Rose out of the building and they're going down the stairs, and there's the scene in the bathroom where you're kind of having a panic attack. So I keep saying I mean Harper Rose having a panic attack. I think that's one of the best scenes in the movie. What did you think about that scene, and how was it to put that together?
That scene was at the end of the day.
Then the first two. When you're having the panic attack?
Wasn't it?
That's day one at the restaurant.
That's what I meant. Day one, yeah. That was a heavy scene.
Yeah.
And it was freezing outside. We shot like a lot of the montage outside, so it was just a day. Like we were so exhausted by that point. I think the panic attack may have come pretty naturally.
Yeah, that was our first day together. We got on set at I think I was there before 6 a.m. And it was January, and
it had snowed the night before.
It was like a super stretch of a cold week where I'm not sure what it is in Celsius, but 20 degrees here. So all of those scenes where we're not really wearing a coat outside, it was brutal to do, and we were pretty fatigued by the end. But I do think that lends itself to the there's a buildup of a whole day, and so Mars did a great job again of giving me something to work off of. She was clearly. It felt like a panicked mood. And I honestly, it's always interesting when you shoot these things, the order they decide to shoot things in. And so you would think because that came later in the movie, we would have shot it later. But it was actually really nice to do that on the first day because I sort of think it developed a bond between the two of us, and it made it easier to do the intimacy scenes as we went on.
Because I do think it's really powerful, and it's a real clear turning point in the story of okay, right, there's now trust and relationship between them. So I just want to say bravo, because I just thought that scene's phenomenal, both of you. And also it is a bit of a thing. I think there's quite a lot of romance novels because obviously for modern day, and I think anxiety attacks are much more common. People are aware of what's going on. It's quite a thing in romantic books about having a male lead or a female lead to talk the other one through a panic attack, and actually people find it really helpful. So it's actually really important that you did that scene. So thank you for that as well.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Okay, and then I wanted to move on to the cooking scene. And I need to know whether Jack can cook. This is crucial.
I can, like I said, I can cook maybe 4 or 5 things, but I can cook them really well.
Okay.
So that's, and I have no shame saying it, because when you make the same thing to eat for yourself every day, you better get good at it, or it's just going to be a hard life. So, yeah, I can cook a little bit.
Yeah.
Um, you know,
Was that the same house, that kitchen, or was that a different set?
yeah, I think all the interiors for the house were shot in the
The
house,
same house.
And what
and
was that? Sorry, what was the
so
house
that
like? Because it's stunning.
it
Yeah.
was crazy.
Yeah.
Literally, because in the script it said there were pool scenes, and it was so cold. I was like, "How are you going to do a pool scene?" And someone said, "We've got a house with an indoor pool." And so I remember I was there a little bit early in the first day in the house, and then Mars walked in, and I was like, "Have you seen the pool?" And she was like, "No." And I was like, "Follow me." Like I felt like a little kid on Christmas, like seeing what's under the tree, showing her the pool. It's crazy.
It was stunning.
And do you know, is it the same house that's shown externally, or is that a different one?
It
Yeah.
is, yeah.
Yeah.
It's the same one.
It's got
Yeah.
turrets and everything. It's phenomenal. Um, I wanted to go nearer the end because obviously, when you both read the script, did you like? Because I think it's really good, the reveal of the villain behind it all. What did you think when you read it in the script, without letting on who it actually is?
Mm-hmm. What do you think?
I thought it was a great plot twist, and without saying too much, I think it gave the actor who did the role a really good chance to have like an amazing villain monologue
Yeah.
and just really go over the top with it and make the whole. It really was like the huge event of the movie, of course.
Yeah, I mean, obviously when you watch these verticals, you know there's going to be a twist. You know there's going to be these things, and so it's always fun when someone gets you with one. You know what I mean? And it's as fun, I think, as an actor as it is for a viewer, because you're like, oh, this is exciting. Like there's a lot, because once you know the ending, then every other scene takes on a whole new meaning. And so that gave me a lot to live through in earlier scenes. Obviously, my character's not aware, but me as the actor, I am. So it definitely added a whole lot of fun to the whole thing. Made the whole script kind of pop in a different way for me.
Excellent. So obviously you have these amazing end scenes where it's in the manor. Also, you achieve something that I think is really hard to do on film, and that it's clearly dark, but you can still see what's going on. Which sounds odd, but it's something everyone moans about here in the UK. That's one of the
Mhm.
things people write letters to the BBC about. I can't see what's going on, and everyone's mumbling. It's, but honestly, to the fact that you can still see, but it's brilliant, and obviously you get these amazing bits, Mars, where you're kind of, I mean, you just nail it. Honestly, it's phenomenal what you do. And then I think that has to be the most iconic, like Dorleen, that you get to do.
Oh
Looking
yeah,
like John McClane with that vest
right.
on. Like,
Yeah.
how
Well,
did they put that pose together? Because it's such a good. Like, how did you come up with just the way it's done? Because it's so good.
well, I do want to say all the lighting and everything, like the production company we worked with, ICYMI, they're total pros. And not only were they awesome at just creating like the beautiful look and taking it to the next level in that way, the way they treat their actors is exceptional. So I can't not shout them out. And I was just kind of for a lot of that along for the ride. I mean, between all the lighting and the director of photography and everyone involved, you're just like, I know they're going to create a cool shot. Like, just tell me where you need me. And so that was like in the big kind of like grand entryway overlooking the backyard, where I think there was also a backyard pool. Maybe they have both. Um, there were these pillars, and someone, I forget who it was, the director was like, "You're going to be against this pillar," and I was like, "Oh, that's like perfect." Because otherwise, what's holding me up? The house just lent itself perfectly to like every single moment we needed to capture. And you're totally right. I had John McClane in my head. So I was like this, as like a 30-year-old man, who grew up watching action movies. You're like, of course I want to do that. That's like an awesome shot.
Yeah, it was so, so good. And then it does end a little bit there because you get to go to a hospital. And I feel that's kind of a. You'd almost be missing out on the Vert experience if you didn't have a hospital scene. Um, so, were you? I don't know. I wanted more, as you both know, because I'm like, we could have had part two. I think there's a sequel. I mean, do you think that could happen if we get the viewing numbers high enough?
I would really hope so.
Well, yeah, because we were joking because of how cold it was. We kept joking, like on set. The running joke was like, "Well, hopefully, when we get to do, Unbreakable Guard to Miami or Unbreakable Guard to Hawaii, Hawaii was the big one."
Yeah.
But I think that'd be so fun because I know there are sequels for Verticals, and I think that the way that that's like it was a super tight script, and there's not that many extra like extraneous characters and stuff, and I think you could really write something cool. I think for these two people to see what's next because it's like, yeah, it's a happy ending, but she's a megastar, so there's going to be issues down the road, and how do you navigate being both her bodyguard and her significant other? I'm with you. I'd love to if they were willing to do another one, I'd do another one in a heartbeat.
I just had a thought occur to me just now.
What's that?
We should write Unbreakable Guard.
Yeah, we might have to write Unbreakable Guard too. You got to
Okay,
make the
you
thing you
write
want
it.
to be in. Yeah.
But yeah, I just think there's more, as you said, for both those characters, and you're both so brilliant together. I need to see more. So I think have I asked all my? I think that's all my questions about Unbreakable Guard. Probably just more general ones. Like, do you have any favourite scenes or favourite memories from it that you want to share?
Well, there's a couple of fun little details, like Mars had mentioned the stunt rehearsals, and the stunt rehearsals were like an absolute blast. We had a professional stuntman, Aaron, who was super cool and accommodating. And on the first day, our masked man wasn't there, so I was the one who had the bottle smashed on my head during rehearsals. I had to stand in, so that's a fun little tidbit for you. Honestly, the whole thing, because you spend these verticals are shot so quickly. They're shot in like 8 days, 7 days, but they're such long days that around day 3 or 4, you feel like you've known these people forever. And so I just getting the downtime with like the crew, everyone was so nice. Getting to get to know Mars was obviously really special and fun. There's not like a single scene we did that I was like rolling my eyes at. Every single scene was fun to do. Being in the house was fun. Being in Queens in the studio was fun. But the stunts were a great time, and that was really fun to do. My fight scene. I don't want to give anything away, but at the end, because we shot it super late at night, it was like the last thing we did that day, and I don't know. It was just you just kind of prove to yourself you can learn this choreography for a fight and pull it off in front of a camera. It was validating, but it was also super fun.
What about you, Mars?
Totally. As far as like a single scene or just the experience, that was the question, right?
Yeah.
I mean, getting to know everyone on set was so much fun. You really do start to feel like this is a family. Getting to know Jack and the bond we've built since set.
Yeah. But for anyone who doesn't know, Mars and I have been dating since we wrapped Unbreakable Guard. So Jackson Harper did get to live on together.
Yes.
She's
So
very
whether there's a sequel or not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We are the
Well,
living sequel right
just
now.
make everyone very happy. That's all it does. It just makes everyone happy. So what is it like when you finish that, and obviously then you move on to other things, and then you have this gap, and then suddenly it comes out and you start getting people watching it? What have you found the reactions been like, and sort of what have people fed back to you once they've seen it?
I've heard nothing but positive things, honestly, which has been really reassuring and validating.
Yeah, I mean, like, it's really nice. All the things that we loved about it, to hear you kind of agree with them is a really special and validating feeling. Like, we knew when we were shooting it and we were looking at the monitors, like, this looks really good. Like, just, vertical or not, like, the quality of it and the lighting and everything, none of it was for waste. I mean, it really came out looking great. And so to have you kind of point that out, and the script was good, and, to acknowledge, like, the things that we trusted the viewers to understand things without having to over-explain. There's a lot of stuff that Mars and I and the rest of the team were like happy about during the process. And so to hear reviews acknowledge these things, you're like, okay, great. That feels really nice to know people felt that way too.
Yeah, we've each done a few verticals since then, probably like 7 between the two of us.
Mm-hmm.
And this is definitely my favorite one. Not just because we found each other, but just the quality of the script, everything goes sort of above and beyond what your typical vertical does.
So what other projects have you both got that we can look forward to coming out then?
I did. Let's see. I'm forgetting the full name, but it should hopefully be coming out on, I believe, Drama Wave in the next month or so. I believe it's my unexpected billionaire, my secret billionaire. There's a billionaire, and I got to play a villain in that one, which was like the ultimate, heel sort of vertical anti, just villain. So that was a lot of fun. I got to play a character who is just horrible to everyone. So it's a little bit different than Jax. It's a little bit of a little bit of a different range. And that was a great time. And then I just did another one where I'm a villain. I'm playing the villain to Hunter Cole, and that I would assume will come out in the next couple of months. Different, a different experience overall, but like so much fun. And honestly, like I said, like these characters you get to play in verticals are sort of extreme versions of people, and it's so fun as an actor to just be able to like, the note you're going to get from a director isn't like dial it back. It's like, can you do a little more? And you're like, sure, why not? So that's been a blast.
And what about you, Mars? What have you got coming out? Can we come
So I've also played nothing but villains since Unbreakable Guard, which is fun. I know, it's crazy. I just did one with some actors you may know, Teague and Paige. That was my second one after Unbreakable Guard. I was a super manic, crazed bride. And that's called My Sister is Not Someone to Mess With. I believe that'll be on Good Short soon.
Yeah.
And then I just did another one with Good Short. I think they've all been with Good Short, actually.
Yeah.
Oh, no, I did a day player on Real Short. I wasn't a villain there. It was just a very short-lived role. But yeah, we're just both constantly auditioning for these. It's really incredible how much work there is now for actors with verticals because the industry has been so slow otherwise.
And is it right that you're both on the East Coast?
Yes.
So are you finding there's enough work there? Because it seems to me that it's growing all the time, what's available sort of in New York and around with vertical filming.
Oh, yeah. I mean, there's so many in New York, and I hear LA is like, several times that. So I can't even imagine what's going on there. But I feel like we're auditioning constantly for New York.
Yeah, I mean, for New York alone, Journey shoots so much here, the production company Journey. And then we auditioned. Two other big markets are obviously Los Angeles and then Georgia, and they'll post their listings for New York. Like they'll post them on the New York page because they like these companies are willing to fly you out and put you up to shoot it out there. So no one will say that Mars and I have had a shortage of auditions, and that the really nice thing about obviously our relationship is we help each other with them.
Yeah.
So like there can be a weekend where it'll be if the two of us are slammed, it's like we're helping each other do a total of like 8 to 10 auditions.
Just all day.
Yeah.
Oh wow, that's quite intense.
Yeah. But I mean, I wouldn't trade it for anything. It's fun because, to be able to do it with your significant other is great because there's only so many times you can ask your brother to read for you where he's like, all right, I don't want to help you anymore. But your significant other's like, yeah, you're going to be doing it for me next, so I'll help you,
Sort of a trade-off.
Yeah.
So I kind of also want to ask you about other skills that you might be able to bring to the vertical screen, partly because I did some research, and then if you put your name in the computer and Google Jack, you find some stand-up comedy.
Yeah, so that was my entry into like, I guess, the entertainment industry. I was in college and I really wanted to try stand-up, and I did, and then I did it consistently, every night for 4 or 5 years, sometimes 3 shows a night if I could do them, and it led me to acting, and I fell in love with acting, and now my attention's all on acting. But yeah, I was in the New York comedy scene. I made a lot of great friends, got to see a lot of super talented people, and I think got a little quicker on my feet because of it.
That's what I was going to ask, because I've talked to people and they've come from theatre or they've come from different backgrounds. Do you think there's certain things that having that really intense stand-up comedy background sort of skills that gives you that you can bring into verts and all your acting work?
I think the fun thing about verticals is depending on the production company, depending on the project, there's freedom to play around. Like I did one with Armin Prakachi, and that was the first time I'd done one with him, and he'll just improv scenes, and if it works, they keep it. And so having that skill, like you can make some choices as an actor and comedian to kind of make something a little funnier if you want, and if it's good, they'll keep it. So you can, it helps with improv. It helps with. I also think, behind the scenes, it can be a nice thing. These days can get long, and obviously you don't want to bother anyone. But I think if you can have like a light, kind of funny air about you and joke around, it can kind of keep the crew and everyone feeling a little bit more calm when it's hour 10 and it feels like the day's never going to end. So it sort of, I find, helps. And the other thing I think that helps about being a comedian is also knowing when to shut up. So not trying to be funny to people when they don't want to hear it. So I think I've gotten better at reading a room since I started doing stand-up.
Okay, that's awesome. Would you like to do comedy role? Because I think we need more comedy in Verts. I think there's so much potential that's not been explored.
I think you're 100% right. I'd love to. I mean, I'd love to do so many different things, but yeah, I think you're 100% right. Why not? Like there's so many projects being made. Why not lean into one that's more humor based, and whether that's physical comedy or punching up the script to kind of make it a little more silly, whatever. Like, I'm all in for that. I would do that in a heartbeat.
Excellent. And what about you, Mars? Kind of what's your background before you came to Verticals, and are there things you'd like to bring from that into your acting?
I've been acting for a while. I sort of let acting take a backseat to modeling for a few years. I also have a background in writing, as does he, which is why I think we should write Unbreakable Guard Part 2.
Yeah, it's a good idea.
Yeah, I would also love to do comedy. I think there's a lot of genres that have yet to be explored in Verticals that I would love to get into. At this point, I really think, it'd be nice to see a bit of a change in the writing because it's getting a little repetitive with the billionaire werewolf trope.
Yeah.
But it'd be so fun to just do something different and do something that feels more real to life while still being fun and crazy and over the top.
Okay, that sounds awesome. So I can't thank you both enough. Can I just ask you some really quick questions at the end?
Yeah, absolutely.
Quick ones. Okay, so where would you both like to travel most?
That's a tough one.
I have a lot of answers.
Yeah. To shoot a vertical or just in general?
Just in general, just for life.
Oh, man. Well, I know we both want to see the Northern Lights at some point, but coming off of the heels of the New York winter, I want to go somewhere warm immediately. I don't know. I want to go, there's so many places. Morocco I want to go to. There's other parts of Europe I haven't been to yet. I want to see a lot of England. I still haven't, believe it or not, never been to England. Yeah.
You'll love England. You'll love London
well,
and Manchester with the comedy and the clubs and the pubs. Love it.
I also, my heritage is like Western European, kind of English and Irish years and years ago. So anytime I go someplace where the sun isn't too bright, I'm like, I feel like I'm supposed to be here, This is the one place that, like, whenever I go somewhere super warm, I'm like, I feel like the sun is actively trying to kill me. And I think in England, I would be like, this is where I'm designed to be.
Yeah, that's your Irish roots, definitely.
I feel the total opposite. I'm of a Sicilian and Maltese background, so I'm like, give me the sun. I want to be on an island on the sea. Obviously, so I love going to Italy, but I've never been to Asia or, pretty much any continent besides North America and Europe. I really want to see Thailand. I love Thai food. But now White Lotus, it's going to be crazy expensive to go there.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with all those. I want to go to Japan very badly.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Right, another quick question. What's either the last movie you saw at the cinema or play or something you saw on stage?
Oh, well, we just saw that play together.
Yeah, I went and saw a couple weeks ago Glenn Ross on Broadway with my brothers and my brothers and my dad. And Mars is going to go see it in about a week or two. But we went together to see Curse of the Starving Class, which is a Sam Shepard play. Performed excellently. Everyone was great. And it's a fun, kind of dark play with a lot of humor injected into it and a little bit of surrealism kind of at the end.
Yes.
Have you seen anything? Did we see anything else? We've seen live music.
We've seen live music. We haven't been to a movie yet.
No, we've never seen a movie together. We've watched a lot of movies, but we've never gone to the movie theater
No,
together yet.
just from the couch.
No, but that kind of says it all, really, doesn't it? Like,
Yeah.
yeah, we don't go to the actual cinema in the way we used to. I mean, over here, it's just it's so
No.
expensive. It's just
Yeah.
why would I'd watch a vertical on my phone and I can watch two in the same time with the traffic. I have two more questions, two more questions, and then I'll leave
Yeah.
you in peace. Which
No,
is
not at all.
okay. Current earworms. What's the music you're currently listening to? Particularly important, having played Harper Rose. What would?
That's a great question. I love music. Music is like my favorite thing. If I wasn't an actress and if I was more musically talented, I'd be doing that. But I took him to the Blue Note in New York the other night to see an artist I really like called Raven Lene. I really love all types of music though. We're gonna try and go see the band Deftones next week because they're coming to Jersey. Yeah, I really like one of my favorite artists right now is named Amare. I believe she's from Ghana. She makes sort of like Afro pop fun music. I'm just always trying to see live music, honestly. That's like my big thing. If, I want to have a good time, I'm going to see live music.
She is underselling her knowledge of music, by the way. It's astonishing to me, like how much Mars knows about, like, she knows every contemporary artist, it feels like, but she also has a wealth of knowledge about all, like, popular bands from the 50s, 60s, 70s. So, but my music, I love, unironically, all the new wave music of the 80s coming out of England. So The Cure is my favorite band.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yeah, I know. I went and saw them a couple years ago. It's my favorite live performance I've ever seen. Robert Smith still has it, and I just kind of feel like it's the sort of music that I can't explain to people why I like it so much, but I like that I don't have to explain it. It just makes sense to me,
Yeah, you
Oh, I
definitely need to
also
get
want to
here.
shout out.
But you
Yeah,
say,
you need to get over here. You're
yeah,
clearly
I know,
English Irish
I
root.
know.
Yeah.
She does. I also want to shout out my favorite bar in Manhattan, Terra Blues. They have live blues music every night. I have spent years of my life working there, but more so I just love going there to listen to the music. If you like blues music, that's a great place to go in New York.
Amazing, thank you. And very final question, because I used to be a bookseller, so I spent 18 years selling books. And so one of the questions I like asking people is either a favourite book or what they're currently reading, because I have a plan that we're going to do a vertical drama book club where basically people can see what all their favourite stars have read and then go and choose to read them and get inspired.
That's so cool.
So,
It's so tough. I was an English major, so I've had my share of reading. This is gonna just make it seem like I'm more of a Britophile, I guess, because my favorite book I think is Train Spotting. I love Irvin Welsh books. Yeah, I think I think he's really funny and really sharp, and reading it in the Scottish dialect in your head is really like engaging and funny. Yeah, I mean, I read a lot of plays these days, and I also like, Milan Kundera, The Unbearable Lightness of Being is a book I really love. So, but I think I got to go Irvin Welsh on this one.
good choice. You a reader, Mars? Is that something you enjoy? Or
So what's crazy is I'm a writer. I was a creative writing major, and I'm just not a reader the way I should be. It's so embarrassing to
yeah.
admit. I think I'm just a little too ADHD these days to
What
sit
do you
through a
like
book.
writing then? Kind of what sort of stuff did you enjoy doing?
I really did enjoy fiction, ironically, even though I don't read
Yeah.
enough. Also poetry. But now I read more scripts than anything, so I'd like to dive into screenwriting these days.
Yeah, okay, you need to do that because I need Unbreakable Guard too. So I think we can leave on that. But just want to say thank you so much to both of you for not only doing this interview, but just creating like one of the best verticals this year. It's really, really amazing.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Well, not to put you on the spot, but I want to thank you.
Yes.
Like, you go so far above and beyond for our industry, and you're so sweet to all of us. I mean, I hadn't done one before, and I reached out to you, and you were so willing to watch it. So I don't want you to think that the work you do, literally all of the work you do, goes unnoticed. It's really appreciated.
Yeah.
Thank you. Right.
Yeah.
Stop.